Hello guys, good morning. So basically, I'm going to give us a breakdown on volatility 25. Now we are basically going to be looking at the different market pairs, which are the volatility 10, the volatility 25, and the volatility 50. So I'm just going to be dropping my breakdown on these different pairs so we can see what to expect on them. So currently, looking at the volatility 25 chart, we can see that we are on an uptrend. But then, one thing we can easily see also is we can see a break of structure at this point, and we can see a level of high. Same break of structure at this point, level of high. So, and there is also what we call triple top. You get. So all of these basically indicates that we should probably be seeing a good drop of the market. You get, but we can't know what to say or what we can't know what to do on this market, or else we analyze clearly by going from the top time frame to the down time frame, which is to the lowest time frame. So the first thing we'll be doing is going to the line graph. Yeah, so basically on the line graph, we clearly have this area. Yeah, so on the line graph, we have this area which we can clearly work with, and then you can see from this resistance point to this resistance point, it just helps us understand it's an uptrend. And then we have from this low here to the next point, it helps us to understand this is an uptrend we are working with. So we would want to see price do something like this, break to the downside, and make a retest into at least this area, make a retest to maybe around this area, and then give us a drop from this point to basically any point which price reacted from, and then down to this point you get. So what we can simply do is we have this area also. Yeah, so basically looking at the market without anything much, we will clearly see there's a resistance point we have here. We have a resistance point here basically, which is point, I would not even call it point A, we just have triple top, which is 1, 2, 3. You get, guys? So based on that, what we'll clearly do now is go to the smaller time frame. Now, this was just like an inscription of what we could possibly be expecting on the market. So two things will happen. Now, it hasn't broken this trend line, so we can clearly say we are in a confirmed downtrend. That's one. And based on that, let's see possibility for price to still respect this level and push to the upside is still, chances are still high that that could happen. So we'll simply go down to the 4 hours time frame. Yeah, so on the 4 hours time frame, let's look at what's going on. Yeah, so on the 4 hours time frame, something we can just do is to adjust this guy. Yeah, we can basically adjust this guy, and then this guy too, we can basically adjust it. So I like what I see here, because when I adjust this, so I like what I see here because when I adjust this particular point, I can clearly see that price reacted exactly at this point where it was trying to give the first break, tried reacting again from this point where it was trying to give another break. So this zone, which we said it's a level of multiple resistance, price actually went to that zone, respected this zone, and has done another drop. So what we would like to see is for price to break this point and we are in on a long-term sell for volatility 25. Now, in order to help you guys understand what we are saying, I would switch it to the chart. Basically on chart, you can clearly see what we are saying. This is a clear trend line here. This is a clear level of resistance. Price reacted from this point, dropping, and then it's just been a nice one though. And now, one thing that some persons would have done to be able to catch this sell from here to the downside is what I would show, even if I wouldn't like to do that because I don't like to draw multiple trend lines, but that's just for the sake of example purpose. Let's do that and see what must have happened. So now the first thing we would have been able to do is, now I'll be talking about connecting trend line from here to this point. But then, if you connect trend line from here to this point, you just get a break and retest around here, which doesn't help us with the information of this drop from this drop to the downside. So we'll connect our first trend line to this point because this is a level of support that just aligns with this high price, because obviously this is what we are looking out for. Yeah, I don't really want to, I don't intend taking much time with this analysis and all of that. I just want it to be brief and swift. So we have this particular trend line here, and then we have this one here. So basically this one was actually the trend line which helped anyone to take a sell. Now let's go to the 1 hour time frame. That's where it's most clear. Now I don't like drawing anything beyond the 1 hour time frame in terms of trend line. I don't know, I still stand to be corrected, but whenever I see a clear trend line break on the 1 hour time frame, it's most times hold or it gives us a bounce. So that is something I can clearly say I have observed on trend line. So clearly what we saw that when price got into this point, it bounced from here, retested, gave a clear break, bounced again, and continued the drop. So now I think we can clearly say that price is at the first take profit. We are watching it to get to the second take profit, and if it does that, which is here, if price does that, it's breaking into the overall trend line, you get, and that is something worthwhile to look at. So looking at the market, you see what happened here upon price closing around these zones. Basically sells, you get stop losses above this point, above this resistance point, and then so I will just add this line so you can get it clearly. So this resistance point was what I'm saying here, fixed stop loss, and then we got a clear trend line break. First take profit has been hit. Now whoever took trades here would either be holding and waiting for price to get to this second take profit level, or they would basically be opting out at this first take profit level. So it's basically just it's a thing of decision. Yeah, it's a thing of your decision and all of that. From here to this point is more than 1:3 or 1:5. So now, based on my market preview, what do I think you guys should do? Now, price has moved from here to this point. We are looking at it to get into take profit. So what I would say you guys should do is targeting this overall line here as final take profit. But then that is the bigger picture. You won't just enter a trade and hold it to that point. I understand. So what you would be doing is picking all these levels here and pick those zones for your take profit targets in alignment with waiting for price to break. When it breaks into this area here, this level becomes our new level of resistance aligned with this area. So when price does that, we will clearly want to see markets break this zone, which means it's breaking into our trend line, and then give us a retest to this area of what we'll call interest, and then price dropping to the downside. So basically this is what we are looking out for on So basically this is what I'm looking out for on the Volatility 25 market. So I actually would love to take this to, oh fuck, yeah, so I actually would like to go down to the higher time frame and just take a screenshot of it. Let's see how price reacts after our analysis. So this is guys for Volatility 25. Now let's check out Volatility 10. I hope it doesn't take our time. Okay, so for Volatility 25, what happened here? Now what happened on, I mean, Volatility 10 now, what happened on Volatility 10 is basically simple. We just got to hit our take profit here, which we've been holding and waiting for price to get to for a long time. So I'll simply go down to the line chart so we can get the exact low. Now one thing I always like to go to the line chart is it helps us to get the exact point price reacted from. You can only adjust this as you go down to the smaller time frame. And we had a clear trend line we got here, which price reacted all the way. I won't want to even draw. Okay, let's just for exemplary purpose, we had this one also, which helped us to guide that the trend line was basically a valid one we should use. So this is something which happened and it guided us to taking our trade for a sell down to this point for take profit. Now one thing I would one thing I would say is we are clearly on a downtrend, which is this. We can, from this point we can see here down to this one, we are clearly on a downtrend. Now what I can clearly expect here is for price to maybe retest around these areas, which like this trend line I will draw now, and then from that point we can in for a sell to break this low and price continues going down. So this is something I clearly would be looking out for on the Volatility 10 index, which it's not gonna be like a difficult trade for us though. I don't expect such. And then we have a level of resistance here, which I expect price to align with. Let's mark this out. So I expect price to align this level of resistance. Whenever price gets into this point, it's just going to be a very significant strike point for us. Yeah, if you look at it here, this is a clean level of resistance I would expect price to react from, because you saw when price got here, it reacted from it twice. And so let's see what price will do around here. Now let's go to the 4 hours time frame. On the 4 hours time frame, this point also is a point we can look out for, but majorly I like this point. I actually like this point. Let's see. So I don't know, I like this area a lot compared to this one. And then I would like to, this could be off a stiff trend line break. So let's go down to the 1 hour time frame so we can draw the final level. Yeah, so on the 1 hour time frame, one thing we can easily see is our trend line here giving us an entry that whenever we see price get into this area, we should be in for a strong sell. You get that, guys? We should be in for a strong sell. And then price has reacted to this point multiple times, so we have a clear trend line break at this price point. So we have a clear trend line break at this price point. If you go here, you see how price reacted. That was the trend line that helped us catch a sell into this major TP zone. So we basically were just catching major zones all the way to the downside. The same thing I explained on the 25 minute Volatility 25. So once that trend is broken, you just be looking for sell opportunities until you get to that trend line. So it's not like you're just gonna hold the sell all the way down. If you can, fine. So now here, what can I clearly see? We have a double bottom here, which is okay, which is nice, and I have price pushing to the upside. Now I initially used this level. I hope you guys are able to see what I'm saying. So I initially used this level for my trend line break, which made me, I was expecting maybe price to react from this area of resistance to the downside. But one thing we clearly I saw was Price didn't do that. It just came down. I adjusted to this point again. It came down and just moved up. You get, so that's cool. That's fine. It only did what gave me a clearer zone or area to put my trend line. So now what can I say? I can clearly see that I'll still be I'll still wait because I know I'm looking for a sell. So I won't be participating in this buy except I see a clear reason to participate in a buy here. So my intent on this one is I would be looking out for market to keep moving at least into this area, something like that, or even break this trend line. But if it breaks this trend line from this point, I don't know. I'm not looking at taking this trade with almost interest. So I would like to see price get into, okay, this is a good support level. So I would like to see price get into this area or this tap this trend line, and then from this point we can begin to expect a surge to the downside. Now one thing we easily can see here is another block which price using getting into this take profit level. Well, that is just what happened for yesterday. We were in there, so let's let's keep our hands crossed and see what price has for us basically. I know some of you saw the trade I posted on Volatility 10 for a buy from this point also. That market has actually hit take profit. Our take profit was hit. I actually hit take profit and it's still going. So that's it, guys. For Volatility 10. So let's take a little clip of what we've done here and we'll see how price reacts. We'll see how price reacts, guys. Now we have one more to go, which is the Volatility 50. So basically the Volatility 50, let's look at what happens on this Volatility 50. Now, Volatility 50 basically somehow wants to be like a thorn on our flesh, but we won't allow that. So I dropped my analysis on this guy some days back. Now, first of all, we can clearly see we're on a downtrend. So the fact we're on a downtrend, plotting my trend line basically just tells me, okay, I could plot my trend line from actually this high to these zones. But now you can see what's happening. If I plot it down to this zone, you see what's happening basically. That it simply did a break into my zone and then you can see reaction. So let's see what happens. Broke into this zone and you can see reaction. Now first thing I can easily do is we can mark this level as a level of order block or level of resistance, which is fine. What we can say is a downtrend. That's the first thing. Then the second thing we can easily say is, okay, yeah, there's a downtrend. So let's go to the 4 hours time frame. Now the 4 hours time frame, what can I see? Now the 4 hours time frame, I can see this level of resistance. Yeah, I can see this level of resistance. Now if I should switch to the line graph, one thing I easily did was I connected my trend line from this point, and I was expecting that price would from this point sell off to this area as in hitting my final take profit, but that didn't happen. It retraced into this zone and then that's what I got. Now all these levels are still levels I anticipate price to react from. So I anticipate that price reacts from these levels and let's see how that happens. So if it does break into this zone, we could be anticipating to get into this zone, and it does break this zone, we anticipate to get to this point. So that is basically me categorizing the zone on this particular market. Now there are also smaller zones, which is this one, which it has actually gotten into. If it should break above it, then one would be looking for a buy. It breaks below it, which is looking strong now, one will be looking for a sell. So let's take it to the normal chart graph. Okay, fine. So two things will be happening. This area is actually a very strong area based on the fact looking at our trend line from the top. to the downside, this zone as our other block, but it won't hold anymore because we're actually on the clearer chart. We have a trend line, and then we are anticipating that price drops from this point to the downside. So let's see if price breaks this zone here, and then we could basically, okay, so we can simply say, let's see, if we were up at this point, we would have clearly taken a sell around here. But then for now, if one is taking this trade, it's basically what I'll call an open risk. So let's do something. Let's go to the 1 hour time frame and let's see if we can actually get an entry. Now on this 1 hour time frame, one thing we easily do is we'll connect our trend line from this low to this point. So you can see we've not still gotten our point for entry basically, because one, I like to see trend line being broken. It hasn't been broken here, so I can't actually take, if I'm taking a trade basically, I'll simply know I'm taking a risky trade. I'm not willing to do that now. So for now guys, we'll leave this guy, but we are clearly anticipating that price drops from this point. At least price gives us a break and drops to this point, so we can either see something like this, a break, a retest into this zone, and a continuation to the downside. So this is basically our view on volatility 50, and that's it guys. Peace, one love. Okay.